I know in the beginning of the year, we mentioned perhaps being quite risky to do the Giro with crashes and, peaking too early in the year. And it absolutely had zero effect on his overall performance. In fact, it made him even stronger for the Tour de France. And I also think it'll change the perception of doing two Grand Tours, one right before the Tour de France. So I think we'll see a lot more of these top guys perhaps dip their toes in the Giro just to try to get that extra fitness of a Grand Tour behind them before they actually race their main goal of the year, which is the Tour de France.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Move podcast. I'm Lance Armstrong, joined by, look at that, George Hincapie. George, it's good to see you again.
Great to see you guys. I missed you guys.
It's been a minute since we caught up.
It has been a long minute, but it's great to be back on the show.
Many minutes. Where have you been? You were in Tucson.
I was in Bogota last weekend and then Tucson this weekend. Two different events.
I have to keep up with you through social media.
Yeah, I did a podcast for Egan and Bernal, who they've spoke very highly of our podcast and Johan's podcast La Movida, and they're doing their thing down there in Colombia, and it was fun to be part of it. And it's actually out now, so it's kind of cool experience.
Cool. And also, of course, joined by our fearless leader, Johan Brunel. Johan, what's up?
Not much, guys. I missed you. It's been a while.
It has been a while, but we're in the thick of the off season for cycling, so we're hence the reason we're doing the highlight show, and we're going to talk about the 2024 season, talk about some of the things that stood out the most to us. It will not be a surprise to anybody that Tadej Pogačar will probably take up a lot of this show, having the season that he had. Hence the background. If you're watching the show on YouTube, you see that background. Johan has got it down. Double Pogačar. But, at a high level, we're talking about a rider who had what is arguably the greatest season in the history of cycling.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's fair to say. Before we get into all the action, today's show brought to you by Zwift. Now, Zwift just released the Zwift Ride, an all-new smart bike that is changing the indoor game and making it easier and more affordable than ever before to get started riding indoors. Now, y'all may know I wasn't a fan of riding indoors. I like to call myself an outdoor kitty. But Zwift has changed that for me, and hopefully the Zwift Ride can change that for you too. The bike is ultra quiet, super easy to set up, and you need just one tool. It's called the frame key, and it clips into the frame. It adjusts everything on the bike. If you want to ride it, your wife wants to ride it, your kids want to ride it, doesn't matter. The adjustability is right there. Change the saddle height, bar height, and reach, all with that frame key, and then click it right back into the frame. Never goes away. Super easy. This adjustability makes Zwift Ride perfect for anyone in the house to use. And at $1,299.99, aka a penny less than $1,300, it is a game changer. So head on over to Zwift.com. That's Zwift.com. And for you folks out there also, check out our We Do rides. You got the We Do Wednesday, our more casual chill ride. And then you got Suffer Sunday for all you monsters out there. Also today brought to you by Roka. Actually just had a meeting the other day with Rob over at Roka. So proud of his whole crew, him and his whole crew, of what they're building. I think they're the best shades out there, whether it's sunglasses on the performance side, the casual side, the prescription glasses, the reading glasses. By the way, all the technology exists across the platform, whether it's the highest end riding glass all the way down to the readers like I'm wearing right now. They have completely reinvented the class of eyewear out there. They are optimized for performance. They're obviously unbelievably lightweight, and they never slip. If you're like me, even though it's wintertime, start sweating. They like to slip, not with Rokas. Hand built in our hometown of Austin, Texas. The Move listeners get 20% off. Just go to Roka, that's R-O-K-A, Roka.com. Enter the code THEMOVE at checkout. Also today brought to you by One Skin. The folks who came up with OS1. We'll get to that in just a second. Dry skin, deeper wrinkles. These are just a few of the visible signs of aging. something that today's sponsor, OneSkin, knows all about. Now, I'm not exactly overly concerned with aesthetics, but I like to keep my skin healthy as I get older. That's why I love their topical supplements. They actually help your skin feel and behave younger as you age. OS1, which is what I just mentioned, is scientifically proven to decrease lines and wrinkles, boost hydration, and help with the thinning skin that often comes with age. OneSkin is the world's first skin longevity company. By focusing on the cellular aspects of aging, OneSkin keeps your skin looking and acting younger for longer. Get started today with 15% off using the code THEMOVE at oneskin.co. That's oneskin.co. Gets you 15% off when you use the code THEMOVE. All right, boys, let's get into this. 2024 cycling season. I think we've done it in the past where we say, okay, Johan, you pick 3, George, you pick 3, I'll pick 3. I think we all have a consensus here. Let's just start at the top. Let's just start talking about Tadej Pogačar and how dominant he was. There were other exceptional performances. Let's not forget that. But he was so special this season.
Yeah. I mean, he started straight away, with Strade Bianche. I think we did a show on that. I think he attacked with 80 kilometers to go or something. We said, wow, we've never seen something like this. And I think we were all in agreement that he had leveled up compared to last year and the year before. And he's shown that throughout the year. I think, I would have to go through the whole list, but there's probably 2 races he has tried to win that he didn't win. He won every other race that he started in with the ambition to win. So this is the Pogačar show. It's difficult to find other highlights than him. Of course, the Giro and the Tour and the World Championships, the Triple Crown stick out. But he's been the big dominator. And, now if you see the comments in the off season, I just read a comment of the trainer of Jonas Vingegaard and said, we will have to try to work and tighten the gap to Pogačar, but we may be against somebody who's unbeatable. Which that's a strong statement from the trainer of Jonas, but it was exceptional. I mean, I think in modern cycling, this is the cannibal of cycling.
Just real quick before George, you chime in, but what were the 2 races that he didn't win that he wanted to win?
Well, there was the first race in Canada. There was 2 World Tour races. So the first World Tour race, which was basically his comeback after the gap from the Tour. He didn't win that one. And then stage 1 in the Giro. Stage 1 in the Giro, which was won by Jonathan Narvaez. And then there was another stage he tried to win, and he lost against Jonas in the sprint where he forgot to eat in the Tour. I think those are the three stages he tried to win, and the 3 races he tried to win and didn't win. He won every single one of the other races.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, I know in the beginning of the year, we mentioned perhaps being quite risky to do the Giro with crashes and, peaking too early in the year. And it absolutely had zero effect on his overall performance. In fact, it made him even stronger for the Tour de France. And I also think it'll change the perception of doing 2 Grand Tours, one right before the Tour de France. So I think we'll see a lot more of these top guys perhaps dip their toes in the Giro just to try to get that extra fitness of a Grand Tour behind them before they actually race their main goal of the year, which is the Tour de France.
It's interesting, those comments by Vingegaard's trainer. I mean, I was just trying to think back to, we never had anybody make those comments about us, right?
No.
The comments in the off season, the comments leading up to the Tour, they were always, well, this is the year that he or that team is beatable, right? Or we see this, or we see that. And we're absolutely, we figured it out, right? That's although I don't think I think it's kind of smart to play it that way.
I agree.
I mean, if you're Vingegaard and the people around him, like just try to under or over, what am I trying to say here? Under promise, over deliver. But wow.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, but Jonas is not a guy, he's not known for, strong statements. And I think he's most comfortable in the shadow working quietly and then show up and be super strong. So it may be part of the strategy also. But if you think about it, I mean, where can you beat Pogačar? He's strong in the time trialing. He beats Jonas this year in all the time trials. Let's not forget Jonas, of course, he had this horrible crash and was not, in my opinion, not 100%, although his performances say that he his strongest performance ever, which is for me one of the biggest highlights of the year.
So I was going to say that makes it a highlight. I mean,
yeah, that's definitely a highlight. I mean, coming back from that horror crash in April, perforated lung or collapsed lung and a bunch of fractures, and coming back and being at that level, especially the first part of the tour, he was quite equal with Tadej. And then seeing the numbers on Plateau de Bay doing his best performance ever in his cycling career, that's definitely a highlight. That's like, wow, that's insane.
Johan, there's I want to see if you know the scoop on this. I mean, the one race, or the one event he didn't win, whether it's the road race or the time trial or both, is the Olympic Games. He didn't win. He didn't win either of those.
But he didn't go.
I wasn't done talking. I mean, he didn't win because that was the reason was he sat out. Now, I heard the other day, I can't remember who told me, but there was, as the kids say, somebody spilt the tea. You say that, or your kids say that over there in Madrid?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've heard, I know it because I have small kids. So yeah,
it's like gossip.
Yeah.
Right? So I got the tea, or there was some tea that he was upset that his wife didn't make the Olympic team.
That's correct.
But I had not heard that until somebody told me this week that he was miffed that they didn't select her. I don't know if that was how that all went down, but that's the reason he didn't go to the Olympic Games. I mean, I don't know who's picking the Olympic team in Slovenia.
Yeah.
But if I have a hunch that that's what's going to happen, Mrs. Pogačar is probably on the team all of a sudden.
Yeah. And plus that's not, I don't know exactly what happened. She was a Slovenian champion, by the way.
Yeah.
So they say it was not a course for her. I agree probably with that, but still it was, any championship is hard. And I don't think in Slovenia there's that big of a choice. And if you're Slovenian champion, you must be somewhat good, right? I think it was a combination probably. He was obviously wanted to have some rest after the tour, a lot of stress. Knew that he was going to prepare for the Worlds, which was definitely a course for him. The course in Paris was not his favorite course, although it's hard to imagine that if he would have been at the start, that he wouldn't have been with the top guys, with Remco or with those guys. So, but yeah, I mean, I've heard also that the reason why he didn't go was because his wife was not selected, and that he just said, okay, then I'm staying home too.
Yeah, and let's not forget, I mean, how exhausted you are after a Tour de France. Yep. Yes, he never showed any weakness, but I mean, at some point you got to take a break, and he's already national hero from where he's from. He's won everything you can possibly win. So perhaps the Olympics were not quite as important as the World Championships and the Tour de France and the Giro. For a guy like that, that's already a national hero. I mean, you got to pick and choose when you can take a break in a long season like that. And I think, like you said, his season was the best that we've ever seen. So it's hard to criticize anything he's done.
Yep. And speaking of the Olympics, and I think it also has to be one of our highlights, was just the performances of Remco. And not just obviously the time trial, but also the road race. I mean, just head and shoulders above everybody else. And not dissimilar to the way Tadej races a lot. I mean, you mentioned Strade Bianche. The one thing that you left out that we were so surprised about early this season was he announced before the race where he was going to attack. I mean, that's unheard of. And I think he did a similar thing at the World Championships. So, hey, everybody, here's where I'm going to go. I'm making an appointment. Anybody wants to show up, I'll be there. That's crazy. I mean, Remco was equally as confident before the Olympic Games. He was ready.
So I think, and Johan, correct me if I'm wrong, cycling has changed dramatically. Gone are the days where you start a race and you go, maybe we're going to go easy the first 30, 40 kilometers, see what happens. I mean, tactically, you are now guaranteed for full gas starts in pretty much every race you do. And I think that's changing a lot of the tactics moving forward, because ultimately all these races are becoming races of attrition. Strongest guy is most likely going to win, where back in the day, there was a lot of tactics given to play. Which team was going to chase down the early break? Which team cared the most? I think now the racing has gotten so hard that this is a huge advantage for guys like Tadej, who are just that much stronger.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Everything has changed. If you look back, I think the last 3 years, all the monuments and Grand Tours have been won, I think, by 6 riders. There's nobody else except those 6 riders who won all the monuments and all the Grand Tours. So it's true what you say, George. It's, full gas from the start. There's no more the first 2 hours, the first 100 kilometers, easy. Let's see what happens. That's finished. And so it's normal that it's only the big engines who can win those races. And that's probably also why Pogačar was so dominant. I mean, he was head and shoulders above everybody else. And I do think, however, that the Olympic Games, I don't know, I can't speak for nowadays riders, right? But if you look on the list of priorities of cyclists, I'm going to say that the World Championships and the Tour de France and the Giro and potentially one of those big monuments like Flanders-Roubaix is ahead on the list than the Olympic road race.
Well, I agree. And Johan, just real quickly, another reason that is for cycling alone is that in the Olympics, you're essentially racing against 30% of the good guys you're normally racing against, because each country is represented. So you have maybe 40, 50 guys that are at world tour level. The rest are guys that they never even really race against. So it does make the prestige a bit less in the mind of cyclists, I think, as like you pointed out as well.
Yeah.
And when people can debate on whether or not this is a good thing for cycling. I mean, it is what it is. I think we're the last people to jump on that bandwagon. Our job was to perform and do the best for our team and our sponsors. But the way it shakes out, a lot of times it's like, here we go again. I mean, but it's not like Tadej Pogačar cares about that. He's kind of.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's pure dominance. But then again, I mean, it's of course cycling is very diverse and there's always a lot of participants. But if you look at every other sport, it's the same thing. It's also the same guys who win all the time.
Yeah.
Look at tennis. Look at track and field. Look. It's always the same guys. So I think it's only normal. But anyways, I mean, Pogačar obviously, that's the huge highlight. His season, I would say. The Triple Crown. What else, guys? What else do you have? George, what do you have that sticks out?
We're going to get into a few others.
Okay.
There are a few others. And I also want to talk about the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift, because I think we all thought that was just an incredible ending. But before we do, today's show also brought to you by Ketone IQ. Now, Ketone IQ delivers clean fuel that can cross the blood-brain barrier, supplying your brain and body sustained energy, focus, and sharpness, putting you in flow, lasting for hours. I'm going to tell you a funny story. I was in Florida last week playing Michael Jordan's course. He's got his own golf course, which is sick. It's called The Grove. And I was I won't name names, but I was with a professional golfer. And I said, hey, you should try out these ketones. And now, granted, they played from our tees, which is one up, so not the back tees where they would typically play from. Nonetheless, golf's still a hard game. Guy goes out and shoots 58. 5'8". I mean, it was like watching a robot. But it was, and I'm like, dude, you're welcome. You're welcome for those ketones. It was a game changer. It was amazing to see. Also work with the special forces, also work with Visma Lisa Bike, doing a lot of research in and around the effects of ketones on performance and how best to use them. 30% off your first subscription order plus a free 6-pack when you use the link ketone.com/themove. That's ketone.com/themove. Today also brought to you by AG1, the daily foundational nutrition supplement that supports whole body health. Now, right now, AG1 is running a special, listen to this, Thanksgiving week. We all know what this means, right? A special Black Friday offer for all of November. So it doesn't even matter if it's Thanksgiving. All of November, special Black Friday offer. AG1 is a daily health drink packed with nutrients to help alleviate bloating, support sustained energy, and whole body health. I wonder if that bloating part has to do with Thanksgiving. We all know how we overeat at the holidays. Long story short, it's a game changer. It is about taking control of your health. I'm always on the road, but we're out in Los Angeles this week for Thanksgiving. I've got my travel packs with me. I drink it every day, no matter where I am. It has been a game changer for me. Try AG1 for yourself this holiday season, or even gift it to someone special. It's the perfect time to focus on supporting your body with an easy and surprisingly delicious daily health drink. That's why we've been partnering with AG1 for so long. Every week of November, AG1 will be running a special Black Friday offer for a free gift with your first subscription, in addition to the welcome kit that has vitamin D3 plus K2. So make sure to check out drinkag1.com/themove and see what gift you can get this week. That's drinkag1.com/themove to start your holiday season off on a healthier note and also take control of your health. Last one of the day brought to you by Helix Sleep, total game changer. By the way, before I get into any of this, we love the Helix Sleep mattress. We love everything that it does for us. We love how customizable it is. You don't have to take it from us. The amount of 5-star reviews online is incredible. Wired Magazine named it the #1 mattress out there. George, I know you're a big Helix Sleep guy.
That's right.
Yep. Go online, take the personal survey, talk about the traits and the characteristics of your sleep, how you want to optimize and hack your sleep. All of these things, but everybody here knows that been an avid user of the Oura Ring over the years. I see the improvements. It's right there. Men lie, women lie, and numbers don't. Right? Jay-Z once said that. Special offer for our listeners, 20% off plus 2 free pillows for all mattress orders. Head on over to helixsleep.com/themove. That's helixsleep.com/themove.
So for all our listeners out there, I'm sure you remember how many times Lance called me bougie. Now he's talking about playing golf with professional golfers on Michael Jordan's course, and he just drops that into an ad read. Wow. Who's Mr. Bougie now? Mr. Bougie. We have a new Mr. Bougie champion on the show right here, Lance Armstrong.
I think he still has a while to go, George.
So I want to go back to my personal highlight of the year. One of my personal favorites is Matteo Jorgenson. Winning Dwars Doors Landeren semi-classic right before the Tour of Flanders, when all of the best classics riders are there. They're at their peak fitness. It's a very important race. Granted, it's not, a World Cup race, but still for an American to win that solo, I loved watching that. And then he wins Paris-Nice. He won Paris-Nice before that. So Paris-Nice, Dwars Doors Landering. This is one of the most complete riders that we've seen come out of the United States in a long time, and personal highlight of mine to watch him, how his the season that he had.
The other interesting thing, George, is, and of course we get a lot of questions from our listeners about the next great one for American cycling, or who it is, when it is, etc. I think the thing, and yes, he did do all those things, but Matteo's had some years of some results. I think the thing that stands out for me is that he is now a part of the conversation, right? Mm-hmm. No matter, and it's seemingly outside of perhaps the Grand Tours, anything outside of that, if he's in the race, they lump his name in there as somebody that could win, which it has been a long time since an American cyclist could say that.
Yeah.
And so also, he's a legitimate contender for just about any race he enters. He's got a great attitude. He always races, doesn't care.
Let's not forget, also second in Dauphiné, barely beaten by Primož Roglič, I think 6 or 8 seconds. And I heard he was on the podcast with Geraint Thomas the other day, and Geraint said that he could finish. He sees him finishing on the podium of any Grand Tour in the future. So
I'm with him. I'm with him.
Yeah.
On that.
From Geraint Thomas, I think he knows what the current cycling is about, and future looks bright for him.
Yep. Hey, we there were other parts. I mean, Tadej Pogačar did. These are harder to measure. These are more editorial, where we say this is the greatest season a cyclist has ever had. What is not editorial or opinion is the result that Marc Cavendish had this year. I mean, to break the all-time record for Tour de France stage wins, that has to sit up there in our season highlights. So much was talked about, so much build up to this, and really, I think a lot of people just not believing that he could do it, and it happened. Right? It's be one of those things we can. You live to look back on, and you say, wow, I'll never forget sitting there during the tour down in the basement watching the race, and just our reaction. And it's fun to go relive it through pictures and social.
Yeah, Gabriel might have to insert that into that, because that was really special to be part of that.
So, look, all of us have a personal relationship with Marc Cavendish. All of us were cheering and rooting for Marc Cavendish. And we all said, I think, look, let's be honest. We all said at the tour preview show that we thought it would happen. We didn't want to be the person to say, nah, I don't think so. Let's be honest. There was a part of us that was cheering for our friend more than we were being realistic. But it happened. And I think that reaction that we had and that emotion, it was so special. And for as long as we live, we're never, well, I shouldn't say that because Pogačar is Pogačar, but it's going to be a long time before somebody breaks that record.
Yeah, and I think, as the careers that we all had on the show, we understand, all those moments of hard work, sacrifice, doubt, self-doubt that probably went into that year leading up to that moment where he won. Yeah, the fans see him win. They say they got the record, but we all understand how hard it is mentally and physically to get to that level. At that age, still winning against the best sprinters in the world is something we've never witnessed in the history of cycling. And, it was just amazing to watch him throughout this year. He won a stage in Tour Colombia, obviously not with the best sprinters in the world, and just a lot of doubt circulating amongst the peloton, whether or not he'd be able to reach that level of the Tour. And it was super fun to witness him do that. And yeah, that's something that I know that we'll never forget.
What I'll never forget is when he was with us in Mallorca. It's been a couple of years now. And he was looking for a team. We were all sort of like, well, what about this team? And no, they're not interested. Well, what about that team? Surely no, we talked to them. They're not. It was just a sound of defeat. And there was these people like, this is such a great story. How is somebody not getting on this bandwagon? And we were going down the list. Now talk to them. I think I'm going to go to this small French team. And I'm just thinking, what? This isn't working. And then he did. And then that team folded. And then he ends up at Astana. But all of that takes such grit. To forget winning bike races, obviously that takes grit, but to hang in there and just take the punches of those calls where people say, nah, we're good. We're full. We don't need a sprinter. We don't care about history, a record being broken. Best of luck. That's
another unfortunate thing we've witnessed in the sport of cycling, the change in how important points are. It's not about just winning one stage in the Tour de France. Breaking the record is how many points are you bringing to the table and how much is that worth for these teams, especially the teams in the lower levels of the Pro Tour. They're in survival mode to get riders that are consistently getting the top 10s and scoring those points and bringing them in the upper echelons of the Pro Tour. Unfortunately, that's what the reason why he probably did not get 10 contract offers, because it's all about the points these days. Even though he was on the brink of creating history for cycling, it's all about the points these days.
Mm-hmm. Hey, another highlight, guys. It's easy to forget. It's been a while ago, but for me, Mathieu van der Poel winning Flanders and Roubaix, not just winning it, being the world champion in the rainbow jersey and winning it both times with absolute dominance was definitely a highlight, which I have rarely seen. Winning the double already is difficult, but to win it like that, given, his big rival, Wout van Aert, was not there because of his terrible crash, but still everybody else was there. And the way he won those two races, for me, was really a huge highlight of the season.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, up to Koppenberg, and it was an old school vintage Koppenberg, wet, muddy. Probably 50% of the peloton walked up it or ran up it.
Everybody but 3 riders.
Okay, so 99% of the peloton.
Big guys that made it.
And I think he went over the top. Like, I think Jorgenson was the last guy there, kind of right behind him. But once he got over that, he was already 30 seconds ahead of the field, and then they never saw him again. So yeah, the dominance in that race was quite impressive to watch, and very similar in Roubaix for that matter as well.
Yeah.
And then lastly, Kasia Niewiadoma, and I think there's really there's 2 parts to this highlight for me is her actually beating Demi Vollering at the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift, but taking a step back, the way the course was set up and structured, and the way the stages were set up, and having Alpe d'Huez being the final day, all of the strategy and the timekeeping that went into, as if you remember the stage, she was dropped. It was easy for her to, Niewiadoma was dropped. It would have been easy for her to say, well, I guess that's it. She kept her composure. She got refueled. She got it back together, and then made another move or limited her losses on Alpe d'Huez. Nobody saw that coming. But it was just it was amazing. I had a blast watching that stage, which actually just added up to the entire race. So intense as a fan, and I had no idea actually what was going to happen, but a real highlight for me, and tough to see for Demi, who I'm a huge fan of, and just, you can go back and assess what happened that day tactically. Did she go too early? Did she spend too much? Probably, but wow.
I also go into the team dynamics, in hindsight, you could say, well, did they know already she was leaving another team? Let's not forget there was a crash early in the Tour. Nobody waited for her, of her team. And so, that we will never know what happened there, but anyway, she gave it her all, and I think she came short, like 4 or 6 seconds. I don't remember now.
It's a matter of seconds. And by the way, Johan, on that crash, it wasn't. If I were advising her, I mean, when she got up and took inventory of everything's okay, let's get moving again. She just took too long.
She took too long. I agree, 100% agree.
We were watching this, going, what? And we talked about it with the ladies on the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift show, like, what are you like? As long as you stand up and everything's moving and you roll your bike around and it feels like it's moving, you have to go. Now, if something breaks, well, then you can fix that while you're going or change it while you're going. But get up and go. That was the race. Yeah, she left the race standing there.
Yeah, I could see that with 100K to go. Still a couple hours left in the race, but this was less than 10K to go. I mean, there was nobody going to wait. And like you said, Johan, even her teammates didn't wait, which, we don't know what was happening there. But for Tour de France defending champion, not have any teammates there waiting for you, or not every teammate waiting for you. I think her teammate ended up winning the stage. But still, it was odd. And also, I mean, we all know how hard that valley is in between. What was the second to last time? The Madeleine or
London?
The Glandon. I mean, I just rode it last year. You don't want to be on your own in that valley under any circumstances. And then Niewiadoma was in the back. She got help from other teams. I mean, it was sort of a perfect storm in terms of the help that she got, was able to perhaps save a little bit of energy and go all in, where Vollering had to go full gas in that valley alone. And that is a brutal valley to be doing most of the work on. I know, because I've done it many times for this guy over here.
Yeah, Johan or no? But it's shaping up. It's going to be interesting, right? Demi leaves. We have new, Frederick's coming in. Like the women's cycling is gonna, it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
What else? What else stands out? Johan, you're a sensei.
I think we've covered most of it. I mean, it's not a big, doesn't really come to the attention, but I just want to mention the overall season of Ben O'Connor.
Yeah.
He's, I have a list here of his performances. So he started the season very early. He won the Tour of Murcia. Then he got second in the Tour of UAE, fifth in Tirreno, second in Tour of the Alps, fourth in the overall of the Giro, second in the Vuelta. He became world champion mixed relay, whatever that means, and second in the world championships on the road. That's quite the season for a guy that, we all have this image of him being, I'm going to say a whiner in the Netflix series. That I think he got portrayed really in a wrong way there. But what a season he had. So now with him changing to Jaco, it's going to be interesting to see if he can keep that up and be the leader of that team. He will be the leader of the team, but amazingly solid season for Ben O'Connor.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, second in the Vuelta, second at Worlds. Like you said, Johan, just from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. So incredibly impressive to watch. And it'll be great to see how he reacts being now the true defined leader of a team, how he'll ride in the Grand Tours.
Johan, when did he sign the Jaco deal? What part of the season?
I think it was before the Vuelta already.
But still, I mean, that gets you, through 2/3 of the season. That just goes to show you get a guy who, you've had some good results. You're on a team. You're the leader of the team, and they say we're going to move on.
Yeah,
and I mean, all the best say, okay, well, I'm not moving on. I'm gonna double down. This is my job, and it's a new motivation. So I will give him that. I love to see that in a rider.
I think he delivered there at
sure.
AG2R, now Decathlon AG2R. He got fourth in the Tour, fourth in the Giro, second in the Vuelta, second in the Worlds. I think he fulfilled his contract, in my opinion.
To George's earlier point, because you were talking about how important it is for points. I mean, that everything you just listed off, he must be top 5 in the world right now.
I don't know where he is, but he must be pretty high up.
Yeah, I would think with those.
Yeah. All
right. Well, Johan, I know it's not Thanksgiving in Spain, but have a happy Thanksgiving over there.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. You and all my American friends.
Have some turkey and some stuffing and some, whatever.
When is it? When is Thanksgiving?
Thursday.
It's always on a Thursday.
Okay. All right. Cool.
It's, why? Because Thanksgiving starts with a T and Thursday starts with a T. It's just been that way for a long time.
Yeah, right. And that's why you guys eat turkey with a T.
Yeah.
That also starts with a T.
Mm-hmm.
And George will be drinking tequila. Starts with a T.
Perhaps, yes. Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay, guys.
All right, boys. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, guys. Great to see you.